Germany's spending plans, delivered this week, suggest that the austerity years are far from over after Mr. Scholz surprised international onlookers by proposing a cut in investment, a reduction in defense spending, the freezing of funds for development aid and the lowering of Germany's contribution to the next EU budget. The budget will also be a disappointment to U.S. President Donald Trump, who has urged Germany to increase the percentage of GDP devoted to defense spending in the U.S.-led NATO alliance. However, Germany has done the opposite, and all eyes will now be on the EU's exemption from U.S. steel and aluminium tariffs due to expire at the end of next month's extension. Presenting the budget plans, Mr. Scholz said, "I am convinced, in good economic times, a responsible fiscal policy must achieve both a reduction in debts and a rise in investments." Getty's Merkel and Mr. Scholz, Germany is pushing for a budgetary surplus. German Finance Minister Olaf Scholz delivered his budget this week, getting rid of your own debt as a way to end the debate about risk sharing in the Eurozone. Wolfgang Munchau, columnist Wolfgang Munchau, writing in the Financial Times, said the German budget is an event that could greatly increase the likelihood that the Eurozone will break apart. Mr. Munchau claims that the new finance minister is looking to push the budget into a surplus of 1% of GDP or higher, and that such a surplus would, over time, eradicate all public debt, a move he says is as un-European as Greece's excessive fiscal deficits. He writes, "At that point Germany will have reached ordo-liberal utopia. It will have become like Nicolae Ceausescu's Romania, which boasted a surplus of $9 billion in 1989, just before the dictator was overthrown." Mr. Munchau adds that this budget will exacerbate the Eurozone's already significant imbalances. One such significant imbalance concerns the fear amongst German conservatives that the natural endgame for Eurozone reform involves the pooling of all Eurozone national debt, with Berlin picking up the tab for poorer and most irresponsible member states. In an effort to address the fear of hasty Eurozone reform, Germany's most senior conservative politicians will meet today to pass a resolution rejecting any pooling of Eurozone debts in Europe. However, Mr. Scholz's 1% budget surplus plan suggests that Germany is looking to end any such argument over debt pooling by eradicating all its public debt before such plans are finalized. With no debt to pool, and no reason to consider the proposals, Germany would be free to discuss other aspects of Eurozone reform, free of the single most controversial point for German voters. On the budget surplus, Mr. Munchau writes in the FT, "There is only one rational explanation for such a policy. Getting rid of your own debt as a way to end the debate about risk sharing in the Eurozone, but copying Ceausescu's economic strategy is a rather extreme way to go about this."